Welcome, everyone, to the Pennsylvania Care Partnership Cultural and Linguistic Competency webinar series session entitled Black Urban Gardeners and Farmers of Pittsburgh Co-op Bugs Therapeutic Gardening for Youth Healing, featuring two wonderful speakers, Raqueeb Bey and Christina Fluellen-House. We're so excited to have them both joining us today. We are going to get started with today's session. I just wanted to provide a bit of housekeeping and introductory information before we show a short video clip, introduce our speakers, and then turn it over to them for their instruction for today's session. With that said, we hope that you will navigate to the chat box. It's usually a little bubble icon for you on your screen, and introduce yourself into the chat. You are able to tell us your name, what part of Pennsylvania or other part of the country you may be zooming in and calling in from for today, and any other type of affiliation. If you find yourself being a youth partner, a family partner, a system partner, a staff member for any of the systems of care across Pennsylvania or nationally, we'd love to know where you're coming from. So definitely navigate over to that chat box and introduce yourselves. Now, another key feature about the chat box for today is that's where we're going to be facilitating any questions that you might have throughout the webinar session. So definitely be sure to navigate to that chat box. We'll be posting the PowerPoint slides into the chat box a little bit later on today, and then again at the end of the session. We also will post a link in the chat box to where you'll be able to find today's webinar recording along with the PowerPoint slides on our Pennsylvania Care Partnership website. So good information to know there is that all of our past webinar series sessions that have been recorded and the PowerPoint slides for those recorded sessions are available on our Library of Resources for CLC page on the PA Care Partnership website. So exactly where this presentation will be posted is where you'll be able to find a plethora of other sessions that maybe you didn't get to attend but want to watch in an archive format. So again, with that, we just want to remind you for today that if you have a question, we love questions. You're encouraged to write those questions into the chat box, and we'll be monitoring the chat throughout today's conversation. And then we'll have a dedicated Q&A towards the end of today's webinar so that you can turn on your camera, turn on your audio, whatever you feel comfortable with, or just continue to write into the chat box so that you may ask your questions virtually to us and we may answer them in that live format. So I'll just advance my slides here to give you a little bit of intro to the ominous voice that is me, that has been speaking to you for the past few minutes. But I am Kelsey Leonard. I am the Cultural and Linguistic Competence Coordinator for the Pennsylvania Care Partnership. My email, and I will type this into the chat box as well in case anyone needs it for copying right away, is leonardkt@upmc.edu. If you have any questions after today's session, you have an innovative project related to cultural and linguistic competency that you would love to have some technical assistance on, you can definitely reach out to me and we'll be happy to set up a time for us to speak one-on-one. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm happy to be here and have you all with us today. We also just wanted to then provide a bit of introduction. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to provide a bit of introduction to our co-hosts for today. And then I'm going to show a wonderful film that they've put together, kind of an intro to some of the wonderful work that they've been doing. But first I'll start with their introductions and then we will open it up to the work that they have been doing through bugs. So our first speaker that we will have today is Christina Fluellen-House. And Christina, if I mispronounced your name at any point, please be sure to correct us for the recording.
Perfect.
Okay,
you did it perfect.
Wonderful. Well, Christina grew up throughout the city of Pittsburgh, being raised in an environment where life consisted of many challenges. In large part, these challenges also fed her hunger to be part of the solution. Christina's determination to elevate above her circumstances kept her on a path to success. She went on to graduate from Duquesne High School and attended CCAC. Christina, correct me, that's the Community College of Allegheny County?
Yes, yes.
There we go. For folks who are coming from other parts of the state, just wanted to provide that clarity. She stayed on top of her studies, and it showed with consecutive appearances on the school's dean list. She then graduated and continued her studies at Chatham University, where she excelled to graduation. She has become a lifetime member of the International Honor Society in psychology and has served in the United States Army as a military police officer. So we thank you for your service, Christina.
You're welcome. Thank you.
She also took an oath to serve after witnessing the terror attacks on the United States of America on September 11th, 2001. And she has been a passionate abstract artist, and she continues to recognize the power of our 5 sense therapy and the need for creative empowerment and the need that creative empowerment brings to people around her. So I think we're going to see some really innovative discussion around this idea of the 5 sense therapy that if folks haven't been previously introduced to will be a wonderful contribution to today's webinar session. And our second speaker, Raqueeb Bey, also Kiva for short sometimes, is an urban agriculturalist, a community activist, and mother of 6 phenomenal children. She is the Garden Resource Coordinator for Grow Pittsburgh Garden Resource Center, a tool lending library in Pittsburgh's East End. In 2011, Raqueeb founded Mama Africa's Green Scouts, a youth program that teaches community gardening, green sustainability, African-centered culture, and community leadership skills. She also founded the Black Urban Gardeners and Farmers of Pittsburgh Cooperative, BUGFPC, in June of 2015, where she is now currently the executive director. Raqueeb is also a board member for Landslide Community Farms, a steering committee member for PA Wagon, a steering committee member for the MLK Community Garden. And she really is inspired by the idea to address food justice issues in the Homewood community of Pittsburgh. And she started the Homewood Food Access Working Group. In addition to all of this amazing work, she has also initiated the Hill District Food Access Working Group. And her recent work includes being selected to the board of the Northeast Sustainable Agriculture Working Group and an appointed member as a commissioner for the city of Pittsburgh. So we have 2 phenomenal women of color joining us today to really inspire us and think through what does food justice look like for not only Western Pennsylvania, but I think as a template for the entirety of the state and hopefully even nationally. And I think what's really impactful and powerful about what they're going to share with us today is the way in which our access to food, our understanding of food justice is directly linked to our health and to our well-being and to our understanding of our mental and behavioral health. So with that, I am going to start the video and then we will turn it over to you, Christina. So let me get the video loaded.
We're a group of Black gardeners and farmers whose mission is to make sure that our people see us growing food, to make sure we have a fair voice at the table when policy is concerned. We want to grow food and grow minds. My name is Raqueeb Bey. I am the founder and executive director of the Black Urban Gardeners and Farmers of Pittsburgh Co-op. There have always been Black organizations formed around urban ag, even for land access to keep our land. So that's what we decided to do here in Pittsburgh. Homewood is a food apartheid area. No grocery store, residents of 6,000 people. So that was one of the things we wanted to work on.
My name is Celeste Taylor. My work at Bugs consists of being the work site manager. I thought as an activist and someone that later went on to come back to the community and now help establish an urban garden, it's like a dream come true. I'm so excited with having the hoop house. It's my first time growing and maintaining many vegetables in an enclosed area. And thanks to 412 Food Rescue, they donated a lot of seedlings. So we've been able to plant those seedlings in the hoop house, and we'll have crops of peppers and basil.
These are some lasagna beds right here. We can grow food all year here. Across the street, we got some beehives. And we have some raised beds in the front. We have some across the street. We plan on building more.
My name is Dr. Dana Harris Yates. I am a urban gardener and farmer. We're creating a healing garden, and in that healing garden, our focus is on children and PTSD, because this community, unfortunately, has been riddled with violence, and the children suffer. The approach that we are going to take is to get the children hands into the soil in a purposeful and a meaningful way, and having conversations around the history of our ancestors, being agriculturalists, being farmers, being scientists, will transition into conversations about their community and how they feel about their community. Do they feel safe? And if they don't feel safe, what does that mean to them?
I'm in the Mirashi. They call me Baba. Baba means elder or father. And so I do as much as I can to help Bugs, whatever they need, whatever experience or whatever resources that I can call in to bring in that might help or implement this and to move it along. That's what I do. And it's a labor of love, and I enjoy it, and I wake up looking forward to it.
I love the work that I do because I enjoy helping people. I enjoy loving service to my community.
I do enjoy working with young people because I know that if they're given the right things, they're like flowers. If we nurture them, if we water them, they'll be their best selves.
It's important to have beautiful places for the children to grow up in. Homewood is a beautiful community, and by us beautifying it with our vegetables and our flowers, that we show that we care, and that's contagious. And I think that that's the kind of spirit and legacy we'll leave behind.
Wonderful. So I will stop sharing my screen now. For anyone, if you had a delay in the playback, I will also be sure to copy the link to the video so you can watch it at a later point in time and put that in the chat box. And we're also going to make sure that the link is posted to our PA Care partnership website with the recording for today. So with that, Raqueeb, I will ask you to start sharing your screen. Oh, you're on mute. I'll ask you to unmute.
Hi, everyone. Let me get to that.
Okay.
All right. So, as I'm Raqueeb Bey, most people call me Queba. I am the founder and the executive director of the Black Urban Gardeners and Farmers of Pittsburgh. I am, by career choice, of an agriculturalist, which means we mix urban farming with community activism and business. In 2011, in the historical Hill District, the uptown section of the Hill District, which is in Pittsburgh, I founded a youth program called Mama Africa's Green Scouts, or MAGS for short. We started in 2011. It was myself and 12 other friends, and between us, we had 17 children. And we just wanted to teach our children how to grow food. And we worked with an organization called Landslide Community Farm, who also has an 3-acre urban farm in the Lower Hill District. We worked with them at a community garden site that at that time they managed, and they gave us a bid to work with. One of the reasons I did this is because the people at Landslide Community Farms, out of about 20 people, only one of them were Black and the rest of them were white. So through this programming and that we started in 2011, we taught our children how to grow food, and we give them lectures on African-centered culture as well, how to sustain the environment and things like that. Moving forward, a season later in 2012, the youth in the community, mostly on the block, wanted to help out as well. So we were like, fine, but there was a lot of them. So we asked that their parents or guardians would come for a couple of reasons. It was a lot of children, but we also wanted to teach the adults. In 2013, people without children start coming to us because they wanted to learn how to grow food as well. So with that being said, we were like, that's cool. Farming and gardening is a lot of hard work. I already had a background as an activist, doing work, anti-gentrification work, community organizing, and fair housing work. So with that being said, I started getting invited to a lot of meetings in the community on urban ag. But one of the things that I noticed when I would get invited to these meetings, and particularly policy for urban ag, that I was the only Black person there. And decisions were being made for policy for our communities like the Hill District and Homewood. And we didn't have a voice at the table. But I'm hearing this story over and over again. And other things was happening, like we were being left out of grants, simple supply grants for supplies. So we were very grassroots with hardly any budget. When white-led urban ag organizations would get grants for supplies, they would be in the thousands. And they would give us $25 gift cards. But I'm hearing this from other Black growers again. So one of the things I did in June of 2015, I had founded BUGS, the Black Urban Gardeners and Farmers of Pittsburgh Co-op. And once again, there was 12 people there, 12 different people this time, who were Black growers, save one. Dr. Dana, she was there as well, and she helped us out with mags. And we talked about these issues that we face as Black growers. But we also wanted to come together to work on each other's different projects, because this is hard work for sweat equity. We pinpointed a neighborhood that we wanted to mostly serve in, and that neighborhood is Homewood. Homewood is a food apartheid area. You might be used to hearing the word food desert, but we are very intentional in our words. We call it food apartheid because that's what it is. This is a neighborhood of primarily African-American residents, 6,000 people, and there hasn't been a grocery store since 1995. When you're looking at this slide, you see Welcome Mama Africa's Green Scouts. That's my oldest daughter, Essence. She is our community liaison and a farm staff member for BUGS. We wanted to do Mama Africa's Green Scouts programming in the Homewood area. So we got a small grant from an organization called Three Rivers Foundation. They're really great allies with us in the Black and Brown community. So one of the things we did is we started our programming at the Monticello Street Community Garden, which is in Homewood. It was great. It worked out really well. That first day we had over 100 people come, and it went real good. And we stick to the adage that we grow food, we grow minds, we grow leaders, and we grow Black farmers as well. One of the reasons we chose to work in Homewood is, as I said, it's a food apartheid area. There hasn't been a grocery store since 1995. It's an underserved community as well. The schools in Homewood, particularly Westinghouse High School, out of all the city schools, Pittsburgh Public Schools, they didn't have books for their high school students. So we know that this was an issue. And as I said, we use food apartheid because that's based on your zip code. This is done on purpose. No one should have to go out of their neighborhood to shop for groceries because food is paramount in our homes. As you see in this, it's an increasing wealth gap. This is the reality that 48% of Homewood residents worry whether their food will run out before they have money to buy more. And it's just, even if you have transportation to shop out of your neighborhood, that's not feasible for everyone. Like most food apartheid communities, there are mom and pop corner stores where the food is costly and processed. And normally they don't have fresh produce or vegetables. And this was an issue for us. So one of the things we talked about is addressing food access for equality. While many are enrolled in food supplement programs such as WIC or SNAP, there are too few local healthy options for residents. Even at one time with restaurants, as I stated, there would be stores where the food was processed and awfully expensive, and you had no choice but to shop there because you may not be able to leave your community to go grocery shopping for a number of barriers, not just transportation. It might be work, you might have multiple children, and it's hard to get around on the bus with them. So we know we needed equity. We needed equity to be sure that Homewood residents had food sovereignty. So one of the things that we recognize is the power of community outreach and partners to make sure that any work that we were doing for food sovereignty was successful. So community engagement on our parts is huge, that we know what we like, but to be a successful food justice organization, it's more important to know what the community wanted. So an example is in 2017, City Council for that area put in a Family Dollar. If he would have asked community residents like we did around that time, what do you want? They would have said a grocery store. They would have said a farmer's market. They would have said food trucks where you can get fresh food, because we put that work in on no budget at all. And this is City Council, and that didn't happen. That's not equitable for our community. So in knowing that we needed these things, we needed a grocery store, we needed a farmer's market, which we started our first farmer's market in 2016, and it went okay. We found out that a lot of residents didn't know. But with those being said, we knew we needed a farm, because this is what we do. We grow food, we're farmers. So in 2014, Grow Pittsburgh did a survey, and they found out that at that time, Pittsburgh had 21,000 blighted lots in the community, and the majority of them was on the east side of Pittsburgh. So we know we needed a farm, and we needed to access some of these blighted lots. That number has went down to 14,000, but that's still a lot. And the majority of them were still on the east side of Pittsburgh, neighborhoods like Homewood and Lincoln and Lorimer. So we worked with the city of Pittsburgh to turn some blighted lots into a farm for many reasons: for a source of food for the community, a creative place, and an environment where we can learn and grow as well and interact with the community. What you're seeing on this picture is part of the lot that we got for our farm. We acquired that in 2017, working with the city of Pittsburgh open space specialists, where they have a program here called Adopt a Lot, where you can lease city property for a farm, for a garden. It could even be a rain garden, or it can be just an area in your community that you want to beautify. This is when we first, a couple months after we first acquired the lot. It's 31,000 square feet, and there was brush, not weeds, but brush, over 5 and 6 feet tall. And it took us like 2 months just to cut down the brush and maintain it that season. So we know, I told you, we know we needed a farmer's market. We know we needed a grocery store, but having a farm in Homewood would be able to help us produce the food to have these. So one of the things we knew we wanted to do was grow food all year long. Okay, I'm sorry, my slide isn't working. 1 minute, I'm just trying to get the slide to move. It's not moving.
No problem.
I don't know why
Oh,
it's not.
there
Here.
you go.
Let
You've
me go
got,
to the bottom.
try those arrows.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
No worries.
So, yeah, we can grow food during the normal season of like April through November. However, we wanted to grow food all year long. And I knew of another Black grower in Milwaukee by the name of Mr. Will Allen, who is a nationally known urban farmer who has a farm at the time in Milwaukee. It was called Growing Power. If you know anything about Milwaukee, Wisconsin, their temperatures are colder than it is in Pennsylvania in the winter. It can get down to 30 below zero. However, he grows foods all year long, even in the winter. So about 7 Bugs members, June of 2016 for 4 days, went to Milwaukee to Grow Empower to learn his method of hoop house farming. We had other classes there as well, but the important ones was hoop house farming, how we can grow food using a hoop house. And that's a picture of a hoop house all year long, even in frigid temperatures. And we did. As the slide says, hoop houses are great for year-round growing, and many plants, vegetables, and herbs can be grown to help out with food apartheid areas. So we went through that training, and we learned that you can grow hardy vegetables like lettuce, greens, spinach, potatoes, and some herbs as well. So the following season, that's what we did. We built our own hoop house. It was so we have our hoop house in the hood. We currently have the largest urban farm in Homewood and the second largest urban farm in the city of Pittsburgh. And that was the second day that we built it. It was a weekend event. We did it on Friday and Saturday. And if you've ever been to Pittsburgh, you know we have a lot of hills here. Many of these lots were once on houses that were torn down. So we had to level the area for our hoop house. The hoop house is 30 by 48 feet. And we even pulled up a whole driveway. That took like a week just to level. And it took us 2 days to put up the hoop house. But it wasn't just work. We invited the community to come out and made it an educational work share event. And over the course of 2 days, a little over 100 people came to help us build this hoop house, and it is functioning well now. Story about Pittsburgh, because of these houses once being on these lots, we have some lots have high areas with lead, so therefore we don't plant in the ground, we use raised beds. So doing projects like this is agricultural plus empowerment is liberation for all of us. And that's what social innovation is, emancipation for all of us to end white supremacy. Because food apartheid communities are because of white supremacy. You normally hear food apartheid, you normally hear apartheid like in South Africa, or you might even be familiar with the term medical apartheid, but food apartheid is a real thing as well. But doing this work and working with other gardens and farms in Homewood, we were able to help in food apartheid in our community. All right, and not just having a farm, but it was very important that we have Black faces on Black land. That's because in seeing, before we really got active with the community and came together as Black growers, other white-led organizations would have white people teaching our children in our school and things like that. And that really didn't sit well with us. So yes, in creating bugs, in joining Mama Africa's Green Scouts, it was important that our youth and our elders see us farming, because a lot of people, don't think that Black people farm. That's ridiculous. My great-grandparents were sharecroppers. Their grandparents before them were slaves. And sometimes as a people, we might shy away from it because of the stigma of slavery. However, not only is it important to see Black faces on Black land, but working and putting your hands in the dirt is healing. It has been research and studies to show that um, it has effects with lowering high blood pressure, helping alleviate depression as well. So all these things combined and just getting active in your on your garden or farm, and it's also not only are you cleaning up blighted spaces, but you are doing things in your community, and the neighbors get involved and they look out as well. So we started our first farmers market in 2016. That's a picture of our current farm manager. We call her Mama Celeste. Her name is Celeste Taylor. Not only is she a Black grower, but she's an activist of over 40 years. And we built our farm on her street because she's the original founder of the Monticello Street Community Garden. And that's who we wanted to make sure that our farm was on a block where one of our members lived as well. Currently, that previous slide was from our first farmers market. It started in 2016 at the House of Manna, and this is the 5th year. But we work with other organizations such as Grow Pittsburgh, Fitz Conservatory, but other gardens in Homewood, such as the Sankofa Village Project, Oasis Farm and Fishery, and Operation Better Block Junior Green Corps to make this market more successful. And it's every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. till October 31st. But recently we've been talking about perhaps having it indoors in the winter, since we're going to be growing food all year long anyway. That is a picture inside our hoop house with one of our volunteers and the BUG members, where we harvest every Saturday morning. We start around 8 o'clock in the morning and start harvesting. And even though we're a Black organizations, we take volunteers from anyone can be a volunteer and work with us, because it takes many hands to make the load go easier. So in the era of COVID, before you can just come to our market and just shop and people will hang out, we would have like yoga classes and things like that, or music. But now because of COVID, we had to reorganize not just how we farm, and we're teaching farm, we teach people as well how to farm and grow food. But to be safe, we had to social distance. So like on our stand, you'll see Clorox wipes and hand sanitizer as well. We try to bag up as many vegetables as possible for our people. Give me 1 minute. Also, here's a picture of some of us that are at the market. We have all kinds of vegetables that people can choose from. But getting it there, you know, once again, we do it early in the morning to harvest vegetables, and we have really nice produce, but we're known for our various greens. So once again, that's my daughter who occasionally works the farm stand, and you know, we're masked up just like everyone else. Safety of not only ourselves, but other people too. Now this picture right here was taken on the July 4th. Christina was there as well. So this is the starting of our healing garden. We created a healing garden to grow herbs and vegetables, herbs, primarily herbs. And what these herbs do is they're medicinal, they have medicinal properties. So let's take lavender, for instance. Lavender, once it's grown and used as an essential oil or as a tea, it can help alleviate depression, and it brings a calm feeling as well. Like I said, working in the dirt helps alleviate depression too and lower high blood pressure. But what we're doing with these various herbs, once they're grown and we create formulas for them, they will help alleviate not just depression, anxiety, but post-traumatic stress disorder as well. It's important to us to work with single African-American women and their children and vets with this programming that we're doing with our Healing Garden. So this July 4th event was a planting day for our Healing Garden, but we had other things there that day like yoga, mindful meditation, we had reiki sessions, we had a medicinal plant walk by 2 of our growers where things that looked like weeds or really plants and medicine. So we were out there all day. It was hot, and then afterwards we shared the meal. So that's when it was planted. It looks a lot different now. It's still growing, but by November it should be ready to harvest and made into teas and tinctures. So here's our model. Black Urban Gardeners and Farmers of Pittsburgh Co-op has a green print to take food justice into our own hands for our community. And the reason why is this. Yes, we know there are issues in our community. We have worked to alleviate some of the food apartheid issues, such as having this farmers market. And we're working with other organizations in Homewood, the other gardens in Homewood, to create a cooperative grocery store, community-owned and based cooperative grocery store in the Homewood community. We have a building. Before COVID, we were having bi-monthly meetings with residents to see what they want, because we know what we want, like 60% produce and 40% staples. But it was more important to know what the residents want. So it's a labor and love, and we're hoping that we would be able by January to open up the doors for the retail community-owned cooperative stores. Right now, you have to live or work in Homewood to be a member. That's because we want Homewood residents to have autonomy and control over the groceries, because they're the ones who pick out who's the board, and the board essentially hires people to work at the store and things like that and make decisions. So it's important that Homewood residents are the people in charge of this grocery store. You know, a year or two later, we might open it up to other residents, to other, people outside of Homewood. But right now, it's important that it's just Homewood residents or people who work in Homewood for this grocery store. And that's what we do. That's a picture of me inside our hoop house. I think that was on our July 4th event. We have real good greens, I want to say. Maybe I'm being a little prejudiced that we got the best greens in Pittsburgh. That's what we do. That's our Facebook account and our website. And here's my email. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Raqueeb. And I think we'll turn it over to Christina next. Christina, I think, is Raqueeb sharing your slides, or do you want me to share your slides? What do you?
Raqueeb, please.
I was going to share them. Do you want me to share?
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Okay, just tell me when to do next, and I'm going to do that right now.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, Pittsburgh Care Partnership. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, we can go right to the first slide. Oh, are we able to make it larger? Or?
Yes, we should be able to.
See?
Yeah, can I make it larger?
Yes.
Yeah, it's down at the bottom, or if you hit slideshow in that tab.
Oh.
Where? At the bottom.
Yep, the last one on the right, there's a little,
right here?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
I think it's just loading.
Oh, I see. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Kelsey, you've been teaching me.
Well, I know, right? This
how's that right there?
Here,
yes, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, Raqueeb, if you stop share, I've got her slides up and I can share them.
That'll be wonderful. Thank you.
No worries. That's what I'm here for, everyone. Okay, so yep, there we go, and we are loaded.
Loaded, yes. Okay, before I dive into the PowerPoint presentation, I would like to tell basically my definition of 5 sense therapy. as well as the relevancy of utilizing or using it within collaborating with local organizations. Children's house. Okay, so 5 sense therapy. Can we go to the next slide? 5 sense therapy is the use of positive sensory impressions or client groups to promote health and wellness. Sensory impressions are such as sight, feel, sound, taste, and smell are the abilities coordinated within the brain and are triggered in various ways by external stimulation, such as incidents of smelling food or touching someone you love or hearing your child's voice. Those are sensory impressions. So what is the 5 senses? Let me go to the next slide. The 5 senses is taste, hearing, sight, smell, and touch. Sight is the ability the ability to distinguish between electromagnetic radiation. Hearing is activated by sound waves. Receptors on the tongue and skin and inside the nose are activated to help us taste, feel, smell. Sensory impressions are crucial to our health, just as food we eat creates tissues. Our senses determine our quality of thoughts, as well as life, emotions, actions, and healthy choices and interactions with people. Altogether, the 5 human senses are tools in which help us navigate our human experiences, and how trauma can be received through the 5 senses. Healing can also be promoted through the 5 senses. The 5 sense therapy is an intentional experience or use of the 5 human senses by an individual in which they initiate a healing process in their everyday life. Once an individual can understand how these mechanisms influence our behavior or unwanted behavior, they can also manipulate these impressions to promote healing, or well-being in their life. Meaning, with exceptions of a few, you are what you see, feel, hear, taste, and smell. Can we go to slide 13, please?
Did I get that right, Christina?
13, no.
Next one?
Nope, next one, slide 13. I don't know where, I can't see the little, the other side to see the numbers.
Yeah, I don't have numbers on here either. What's the text for you?
Okay. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Are you talking about taste?
No, sight. We're doing sight visual therapy first.
Sight visual therapy. Okay. Let's see. We'll go back one.
Yeah, that's the beginning. So
sensory.
It would probably be 13 down. Like 1, 2, 3, that's 4, 5, 6.
Sight. There we go.
There we are. Yes. Okay.
We'll get there. Technology.
Right. We're working through it. We're working through it. You know, these Zoom calls, they change every day. But so sight therapy, visual aids. Visual aids are used to influence the mind and the body connection. Visual images you perceive have a profound effect on your mind, body, and emotions. And images of peace and serenity are associated with reducing anxiety. So sight therapy is the use of pleasing visual cues to promote well-being. Visual aids are used to influence the mind and body connections. Visual aids you perceive have a profound effect on your mind, body, and emotion. Images of peace and serenity are associated with reducing anxiety. Surrounding yourself with positive or pleasing images uplifts your spirit and is important for your health. Just as well as negative images can cause a dramatic effect on endorphins within your body, decrease in health. Creating art or planning is just, or planting seeds with Kiva is just a simple way to promote visual therapy. It's not like big rules or anything. Textile or touch therapy is the next slide. That's here. touch, or textile.
Okay, yep, they probably are out of order. There we go, touch.
Thank you. Touch therapy is the process of feeling or touching to maintain healthy wellness. Skin is the largest organ, and the calming stimulus registers quickly upon contact, releasing chemicals that enhance the immune functions, respiratory, and blood circulation, as well as promoting sleep. Utilizing various forms of touching can help the nervous system calm. Various textures can promote emotion, memories, and fears. Alternative surfaces or textures are used more in childlike settings, but has a benefit for all. The therapeutic benefits of massage, dance, or touching helps relax the mind and calm the spirit. Examples of gardening or planting can increase health just by playing in the dirt. Can we go to sound therapy?
Sound, we're gonna go here.
Right? Yes. Sound therapy is the incorporation of pleasurable music to promote wellness. Every sound heard has a physiological effect. However, personal preferences is different in the effect or influence. Upon hearing certain sounds, brain waves switch modes and are passively brought into a relaxing state. When sounds of empowering or relaxing tones are heard, a cascade of pleasuring feelings producing endorphins course throughout the body. And in contrast, noise pollution is also associated with stress and increased immune functions. Yes. Playing music, or whether you're sad or happy, we all know can change your mood, but it also can distract you from negative stimuli that you're going through currently. You can use it as a takeaway, as a mini vacation. The next slide is taste therapy or culinary. Culinary therapy is the process of preparing and eating foods to promote a healthy wellness and increase health equity. Foods have different neurological properties, meaning foods affect the body in different ways. Foods or taste can be associated with calming the nerves or energizing the body. Food is categorized into six categories, with each taste having a unique effect on the mind, body, and soul. The 6 categories of taste are sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. Included in these 6 tastes in each meal not only provides daily nutrients needed, but also helps maintain feelings of satisfaction. Cooking with family is associated with the increased psychosocial development and encourages children to eat the food. Can we go to smell? Smell is the most primitive of all the senses. It's connected directly to the body's central nervous system, making the sense of smell the strongest human sense. The process of smelling is an absorbance of molecules, which promotes various feelings based on scent. Aromatherapy is using smell to promote the process of conditioning, consciously linking the healing response to a given scent. Embracing various scents promotes grounding while distracting from negative stimuli. Scents are connected directly to your memories, emotions, and instincts. Different scents are associated with different feelings, in which a calming state can be associated with scents of lavender, vanilla, and sandalwood. Counselors can use these alternative methods to initiate coping mechanisms and promote healing properties with clients. Any questions?
Well, I think that's fantastic, Christina. So that's those are all of the categories of your slides, right? So
Right.
maybe we'll open it up for general Q&A now, and then folks can ask you directed questions about what you've presented on, and then also Raqueeb, what you've presented on as well. Let me just exit out of this. I'll stop share so we can just have that Q&A for everyone. And as we're transitioning, I did get one question already in. Folks are able to ask a question in the chat box, or you can also raise your hand. You go to the participants button, and then there's an ability to wave a hand next to your name so that we can call on you if you'd like to turn on your video or audio. Because the remainder of today is a conversation with Christina and Raqueeb about their work and what they presented. I have a few questions, and then there's already one question that came in from the general audience. Okay, so we'll start with that first question. It is for, I think was directed at Raqueeb, but Christina, if you have a thought in response to it as well, feel free. So here's what I have that came in. How has the work share, I guess related to bugs, how is the work share structured? How was the work share structured? And are there any materials that bugs can share with us and with the folks that are on today's webinar? Also, how are the coordinators of these organizations sustained? Is everyone a volunteer, or are they paid staff? Where does your funding come from? I think one of the biggest challenges in where this attendee comes from in Harrisburg is incentivizing volunteers and finding ways to pay people who want to make a living doing urban agricultural work. So I'll turn it over to you folks for some answers to those questions.
So I work another job at Grow Pittsburgh. I wouldn't if this was, right now being able to fund us full time. We do have volunteers. We are all volunteers. Some of our volunteers do get small stipends. It's not a lot for anyone to quit their day job. As you know, farming, as I said before, farming is hard work. So we have stipends from some grant money that we have received from foundations as well.
No, that's good. Christina, how about for you? Like, how do you sustain yourself in this work? Are you finding that there's enough funding out there?
Funding, that's funny. It's more about collaborations with other nonprofits, as far as like volunteer and help. That's really it. I do work another job as well. I'm married. My children are older, so I get free volunteers from them. But it's normally people that are in connection with our local nonprofits. So we partner with the Community Empowerment Association, also with Kiva's Lady Bugs. I volunteer for her all the time. So it's really about phone banking, calling, hey, Facebook, social media, and most people are really good. They're naturally good at heart. So if they see you out, doing something, they're normally you get volunteers easy, especially when you're doing something good like neighborhood cleanup, or we're doing dance classes or cooking classes. That's something that people are interested in doing. Farming, I think it's beautiful. I don't have a green thumb, so I don't plant anything, but I definitely would come to help. But when you have a good base, friend base, social base, it's easy to get volunteers. I'll say that.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And let me add that a lot of people like to come out and help, and say we had a late start this year. Normally we start planting in the hoop house in March, even though it's cold, because it's not that bad. So we didn't start till April. So we might have through the week 50 volunteers coming past, and it's August, so we might just have 10 now. It's not just our growers, Black growers. We have people who aren't Black or brown, and so work shares. we can't pay everybody, even the little stipends that we do give people. So we do work shares, like they can come help out and they'll get a certain amount of produce given to them as well. We work with various foundations. Shout out to Pittsburgh Foundation, Heinz Endowment, Boys Fund, and Pennsylvania Farmers Network. But yeah, it's you know, it's about getting out there and ask for money. But through the years, I've been weary of asking for too much money because I wanted to, even though it's been 5 years, I wanted to make sure that our team was strong. And I don't like to mission creep. I don't chase a lot of funding because we can get off of what we're here for. And I wanted to make sure our team was strong and we had solid people who weren't just there for the money. But I'm tired of working 2 jobs right there. So
Well, and
we're changing a lot. So,
and I think that's a good transition into some of the other questions that are coming in through the chat box. And so one of the things that we've really prioritized with these webinar sessions and with the CLC series is thinking through, both for the attendees on today's webinar and those who might watch the recording later, as well as our other strategic partners, how we can partner. You know, how can they get more involved in the work that you're doing? And so, you know, one question that came in was for Christina and Raqueeb. Are you guys looking to collaborate? I think the senses therapy would do very well with young people in urban gardens. And so one of the things that kind of hits, you know, that hits home for me is, you know, are you getting referrals from, you know, from juvenile justice for community hours or community service hours, or, you know, have you had any connections with child serving systems in using the urban gardens for healing?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So yes, Christina and her husband Eric was there on our 4th of July event because we wanted to do outreach with veterans, and they have a vets organization, because we know a lot of veterans suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. So yes, we do plan on partying once we do our harvest to do different workshops, not only with vets, but African-American women, Black women who hit up single family homes in Homewood. However, yeah, we're always looking for collaborations. Now, with that being said, because of COVID, so I want to say 12 months ago, we met with Secretary John Wetzel. He is the Secretary of Department of Corrections here in Pennsylvania. So basically, he's the Secretary of Corrections for all 27 state correctional institute. And we met with him a few times to create a reentry program for African-American women who are coming out of the penitentiary, to learn workforce development in urban ag, to participate in the various programming for Healing Garden, but also to work with their children with reunification with their children as well. With that being said, this year we were supposed to start it, but because of COVID, we didn't. We're looking to start it in 2021, and then in 2022, move it to work with some of our partners in a criminal justice reform arena and farmers in Philadelphia as well, working with these women and their children. And yes, this is particularly for African-American women. We haven't talked about having juveniles come there to work off their time on the farm. Anything can happen. That's a possibility. I will have to talk to our other managers about that. But yeah, we did, in doing research for this reentry program, we did look at farms in Philadelphia that do that kind of work.
Wonderful. And I think that that's something too for other folks that are attending, because we're across the entirety of Pennsylvania. We've got folks probably calling in today from Philadelphia, zooming in from Philly. So we wanted to kind of showcase the work that you're doing with Buds, but that this is a pocket of Pittsburgh, right, that you're working in, but that there are other, you know, urban ag organizations like yourself, particularly those led by BIPOC, by, you know, Black, Indigenous people of color in our urban centers across the state, that are doing this urban ag work and connecting it to our healing and well-being. So I think that's really, it's really cool to hear some of the new programs that you're thinking of, particularly this reentry program. And I think you kind of hit on some of the other questions that another person asked about, you know, are you providing, are you sort of sourcing volunteers from mandatory community service? It sounds like not really as of yet, but maybe at some point in the future. Another question, and you could also probably speak to this in terms of what does this look like in COVID times, but a question came in around, are you offering cooking classes or food preparation courses to the community?
So we would like to start that again. At our previous years for the farmers market, we would have a cooking demo every week. And I believe Christina and I talked about that, of doing that again. Like I said, our farmers markets ends on the 31st, but we're looking to maybe do it bi-weekly in the winter months inside the space that we use to host our market. So yes, we have had various cooking demos. Christina and I and a plant-based doctor, Dr. Summers, we just did a panel, I think maybe like a week and a half ago here in Pittsburgh on sort of the same thing, and we were talking about it during our farmers market. So we may tweak it out to where we will have cooking demos start again. But once again, you know, we have to maintain safe social distance measures and things like that.
Definitely.
I know I used to conduct cooking classes at the Goodwill and another nonprofit, but like yeah, because of the COVID, it's hard to teach 6 feet away cooking classes. I don't know, maybe after the pandemic subsides.
Well, we have an audience member that has been patiently waiting. They raised their hand, so I'm going to turn it over to them to unmute themselves, and if I think their video is already on, so I apologize if I mispronounced your name, but Rafika, did I say that right? I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And this has been very, very enjoyable. I have read and heard so much about bugs. There's hugs and bugs. Pittsburgh, and I do want to come and visit y'all. There's a lot of similar things that y'all are doing that we're doing here in Harrisburg. I am establishing presently a urban farm and a tract of land that was kind of forgotten. There was an old greenhouse there, and kind of took the land back in the end of in the 90s, and we're right now getting ready to put this into fruition. But the question I wanted to ask you particularly is, how do you work well with the municipality in Pittsburgh? By us being the capital, and I'm working with this particular piece of land, that can get really sticky and tricky. I like your phase, and I think I'm gonna reach out to you, Black Hands, what do you got on here? Black Faces on Black Land. I'm pushing for Black farmers in Harrisburg. We're 67% Black. And
I know that.
We are, you know, that's my goal. I am a Black farmer, aquaponics farmer, been doing aquaponics for 6 years. So Secretary Reedy, when he came out to visit y'all, he visited us too and talked about the food apartheid. And he was very pleased that the fact that we were taking poor blighted land and turning it into beautiful gardens, producing good food for our communities. But I just wanted to ask you that, how do you work with that? You also mentioned about other white growers in the area. I'm having a little bit of problem with that because they want to come in and just take over. And I'm trying to really, I'm being careful what I say right here. I'm really trying to really work and be inclusive, but at the end of the day, it's about us, like you said, about making sure we're eating good, healthy food. So I'm having a few little battles as I'm moving forward with this process, but that was something I just wanted to know. Is this something that you run across as well?
So it's good to meet you. I have not met any Black farmers from Harrisburg. I want to say on June 18th, Secretary Redding hosted a meeting. Were you on there?
I think he did that after he met with all of us. So I wasn't able to participate in that meeting. But
so what we're going to do is
very serious.
Right. We're going to reach back out to him to make sure that, because I suggested that these meetings be quarterly with Black and brown people in Pennsylvania areas to address concerns. But yes, even though we have put a dent in changes that we make, it's always a fight for social justice. What I have found is, unfortunately, that some white social liberals can still deal with the mentality of being a white supremacist, just automatically assuming we don't know what we're doing.
Correct.
I have had extensive hoop house training. We've had this hoop house up since 2018. It's getting better all the time. And then, you know, some of them talk to me like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I believe in the power of education. I'm a very blunt person, basically. So if you're going to work with us and come on our land, you're going to treat us with respect, treat our residents with respect, and don't use your privilege to demean us and automatically think like we don't know what we're doing. We're not having that. So now working with the city, we have all of a sudden city council reached out to me about 2 months ago because he's interested in fresh produce. I mean, a few of us laughed, but that's progress. The mayor's office has been supportive of us for a couple years. Yeah, it's been a lot of work. From what I understand from my farming friends in Philly, it's easier for us in Pittsburgh to get land access here, because I thought like you can get lots in certain parts of Philly for $1. So we're working with city council to pilot some programs like that. But that's only in particular neighborhoods, I'm finding out. They want to learn from us what we're doing. So part of these conversations with Secretary Redding, we're going to address the issue of land access, workforce development, how the grants are streamlined through Pennsylvania to where they aren't fair and just. So for instance, there are grants that you can apply for within the Pennsylvania Agricultural Department, but it's reimbursement grants. So small organizations like us, we don't have $100,000 to do the work first and then get reimbursed, or even $10,000 all the time. That's not the case with everyone, but that's the case with a lot of us Black and brown growers here in Pennsylvania. So I put my email in the chat. It's also in the PowerPoint. Please get in touch with me because I think it's time that we do another. I like Secretary Redding. He's great. He's been a big supporter of us for a long time. You know, he was supposed to come out this year. He didn't because of COVID. So he's been here like for the last 2 years, visited our farm, but definitely there are issues. It's always something. We can crush one issue and then there's another issue dealing with white supremacy. And once again, I'm intentional with my word. I say white supremacy. I never say racism, because if you say racist, in my opinion, if you say racist or racism, that leaves a lot of people out.
Right.
Because normally you might just think of neo-Nazis or mega hat wearing people. Well, no, that's not the truth all the time. It's people who come and help us out. It's white-led organizations that are social justice organizations. So that encompasses everybody, even people that look like us who can be victims of white supremacy and will project that on us as well. So yeah, my email's in the chat. Please get in touch with me.
Oh, I will, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rafika. And I think some folks are also from the Harrisburg area, Rafika, on the call, and they've asked if you're willing to share your email, if you want to put that in the chat box. They'd love to get in touch with you.
It's to everyone. I put it to everyone. Yes, amen. Brother
yes, we've got yours, and I'll copy and paste it again, Raqueeb. So theirs is blackfarmerscoop@gmail.com. And then Rafika, if you put yours in the chat box, then it'll be there too. And we have another announcement for another webinar that's being put on by Gateway Health Plan. So thank you for sharing us with that. I'll just leave it to folks to look to the chat box to learn more about that. And always open to getting people's event announcements, because we have a newsletter. So we'll be sure to include that in our newsletter as well. So thank you for sharing. Let's see, I don't know if anyone else has another question or wants to raise their hand to speak, please let me know. We still have about 15 minutes left in our time, but I had a question for either speaker or both of you. But I was really intrigued by this this terminology you used about blighted land, or urban blight as it's often referred to. And I was just wondering what that term means to you, how you find yourself using it. Is it something that a lot of policy folks use in the cities and municipalities? And so, is the land blighted, I guess, is kind of the question, or what your thoughts are about language and urban ag.
It could be anything, but yeah, that is the popular term or trending term, blighted. It could be garbage. It could be people dumping trash and waste, come construction workers in some lots. In our case, at Bugs Farm, which is called the Homewood Historical Farm, it was more overgrown weeds that the city was supposed to take care, and they didn't. So that first year, August of 2015, when we moved Mama Africa's Green Scouts programming to Homewood, we had it was like our grand opening in Homewood, groundbreaking, working with Mama Celeste at the Monticello Street Community Garden. The day before, that evening, there was a shooting where 3 people got shot, a 4-year-old, a 12-year-old, and an adult woman. And people were calling me, and we always have a speaker, so I got a colleague of mine who has an anti-bullying program called Life Ain't Scripted, to talk about anti-bullying. She was uncomfortable. It was just real bad. On the block, right across the street from the garden. Should we have it? Should we have it? And it was weeds that was 5, 6, 7, 8 feet tall. And there was a visual for a young man who a couple years ago lived on the block. He was murdered. And it was retaliation killings. So what happened is some people stood in the bushes and ambushed these people. But we decided to have the event anyway, because we felt we were needed there more than anything. Our programming was needed. And my colleague Letitia, instead of talking about anti-bullying, she talked about community responsibility and how it's up to us. And there hasn't been a shooting on our block since. It's up to us as a people. We can't always rely on the system. And we know that it's a setup, but we can't rely on them. We have to police ourselves sometimes. We have to do better as a community sometimes to help ourselves. And since then, there hasn't been a shooting on the block.
Wow.
A lot of hard work. And helping, not judging, but helping. Because there's a reason, you understand? And no one is born like this. And a lot of it deals with mental health, trauma, generational mental health and trauma. And a lot of it deals with, some of it is a setup. I'm gonna just be plain, that we were put in position to have to do these things. Not all of us, but some of us. So there's no judgment when you understand why these things are happening. We just wanna help and make sure that our people are responsible. And the beauty of it is like, people still live on the block. There's only 13 houses on this block. And the family of the little boy involved, he's 10. He manages the Mama Africa, the Monticello Street Garden right now. He takes care of it. So it's about progress and education and being there, people.
Definitely. Well, we had a question that's related to this, and then there's another person that wants to come off of they want to speak via video. Sorry about that. So, but this directed question also refers to blight and some of the legal concerns around blighted. So they said, thank you for sharing your excellent work. I'm curious on who owns the blighted lots and how can your organization ensure that it isn't taken away from you? So when you reclaim the blighted lot, are you getting a deed from the city for that land, or what does the legal aspect look like?
Okay, so it's a lease of every 3 years, all right? Here's the problem. Like most Black and brown underserved neighborhoods, we are facing gentrification. And gentrification, in my definition, is where redevelopment isn't community-based nor community-orientated. It's redevelopment that isn't fair, just, and equitable. So with the city of Pittsburgh current adopt-a-lot process, it's a lease. However, if some developer wants your land they can come and get it in 30 days. Now, I'm a hellraiser. We have made good connections with our state reps, with the mayor, city council in that area, but you never know what happens. It's a great program, right? But we can't afford to buy it right now. So there's an organization here in Pittsburgh called the URA, Urban Redevelopment Authority. They work with the city, and they have they manage and own a lot of city property as well. They created a program about a year and a half ago called Farm a Lot, and it's basically mirrored after the city of Pittsburgh Adopt a Lot, and we are working with Land Trust here as well. Adopt a Lot, but it's a lot better because, one, if you go through this, and it's just a pilot program, if you go through this pilot program with the URA, they secure your land until you can buy it. Like, you have it in perpetuity, and they won't let redevelopers come and get your land. Now, personally, I like working with the city of Pittsburgh's open space specialist. She has really looked out for us. But last fall, I had to be candid with her that this isn't working, and the URA has been reaching out to me. And basically, what are you going to do about it? So since then, and right before COVID hit, we were in meetings with our city council person who chairs the land access for the city of Pittsburgh to start a pilot program. Where we'll just take a few participants of Adopt a Lot, looking in cities like Philly and Baltimore, so we'll be able to get these lots for like $1 a piece. We'll see. She was like real resistant to this at first. Like, what is this, job security for you? Because right where I am right now with things, yes, Black growers here in Pittsburgh have fought hard for equality in urban ag to have a voice at the table. But where we're at right now, with everything happening, with land access, tensions high, we want our own table right through here. So it's either like you're going to play ball with us or you're not. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you so much for that answer, and to Sarada for the question, because I think it was really spot on and something we hadn't addressed yet in the call. I think we have time for one more question before we do some closing comments. So Nancy, I will ask you to unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Nancy Massey, and I work with the same group as Kelsey does, the PA Care Partnership. And one of the issues that we have when we are supporting groups like yours or other types of initiative is communication. How do we get the word out to people that an event is happening, or that there are opportunities for people to be involved? And I was curious to see how you all were doing that.
So we have a website. We have a volunteer that runs our website. Normally we have flyers on there, but also on our Facebook page, we have, when we're doing events, our Facebook page is on a PowerPoint as well. We do have an Instagram, and I see stuff coming through my phone, and I'm waiting on my teenager to teach me how to use Instagram. So, she finished with her online classes, and then she went to work. But anyway,
do you do anything like put signs up in the city or on the?
But it's something I have to learn, because I hear Instagram is like, where's it at? Yeah. I'm too old for Snapchat and don't even think about TikTok. Mm-hmm. So whatever. But yeah, that's how a lot of things are word of mouth, but I'm real good at Facebook. So I put things out through Facebook and our website. We have current events of things that we're doing for our website as well.
Do you ever do like put up flyers in the neighborhood?
Pre-COVID, we used to. So yesterday, I printed out about 40 flyers, and for our volunteer days, because we have volunteer days Wednesdays from 4:30 to 6:30, and Saturdays from 9 to 12. And I put it in the Hill District, in the bank, and a couple other places. But mostly right through here, because of COVID, we're really not out and about like that. We used to put flyers everywhere, but we're having an event next week, and it's like going to be really, really great. It's on the 16th. So we want our neighbors where the farm is to know. So we're having a flyer made up for them, and we're actually giving them appreciation party, our neighbors, in October. So yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you.
On the farm. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. Okay, well, I think that was our last question. So I'm just going to share my screen one more time with some closing material for everyone. For Christina and Raqueeb, do you have any closing comments you want to share with folks before we sign off?
No, thank you all. Thank you all for having Christine and I. And yeah, I put my email in the chat. It's in the, it's on, our Facebook is on there too. I didn't bother putting their Instagram on there, but our Facebook page is on there. Just be in touch and you have my email. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Christina?
Yes, thank you for having me. I believe my slide is up with my email as well. We're on Facebook, Painting with Purpose. My phone number, and I really appreciate it. And I just want everybody to remember to walk in love, beloved.
Thank you both so much. We always end each of our webinar sessions with this little graphic that cultural competence and linguistic competence are a life's journey, not a destination. So we're wishing everyone safe travels. And I also just want to note that my contact information is here. Again, leonardkt@upmc.edu. If you have any questions or want to talk more or want to get in touch with our panelists, maybe you've got a great partnership idea that comes with lots of funding, we would love to let them know about it. But with that too, we've got some folks that are just asking about where they can find more of this information. It will be available on our website. We also are going to send a thank you for attending email to you that will include a link to a survey that we would love for you to fill out with feedback for both our presenters and our webinar session on hosted by the PA Care Partnership. And in that email with the survey link will be a link to get your attendance certificate upon completion of the survey link. So, and a link as well. You're gonna have so many links, right? But you're gonna have another link that will have the recording of the webinar and where you can download the slides so you can send it out far and wide, as well as the video that we shared at the top of the meeting. If you had any playback delay with that, that is already posted on our website for you to go and start to share that with your friends and say, I attended this amazing session this Thursday with the PA Care Partnership and Raqueeb and Christina and Bugs talking about our 5 sense therapy and really healing through the land. So I cannot thank our speakers enough for everything they shared with us today and for all of you for attending. So thank you so much. That concludes our session for today. I'll be staying on the line for a little bit if anyone has additional questions, and to just tidy up our chat because we had some remaining logistic questions there. So again, thank you to everyone for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.